What's a better feeling than reading the same manga over and over and over and over again in order to try and capture that same magical feeling that you had the first time around? Well, for me, the answer is pretty simple. It's that same manga getting a good anime adaptation and getting to enjoy that same magical experience all over again in a completely new way. Hi, I'm Bayfund, and The Dangers in My Heart is a fantastic, stellar story that is the pinnacle of fluff in anime. Definitely, this is one of the best anime of the seasons right now, and if you're not watching right now, you're doing yourself a great disservice. It's everything that you would want in a school rom-com, the genre that we all know and love. But its genius doesn't come from being completely innovative, different than what we've seen before. If anything, this is all what we've seen before. The reason that I think this series works so well is because it follows all of the cliches and things that we know, and it delivers on them greatly. It's the ideal. It's able to actually boil down all of those parts that you absolutely enjoy, and it's able to put it into an anime in a very coherent way. And this is due to the impeccable chemistry between Ichikawa and Yamada, two of the best rom-com leads in this generation of romance anime and manga. Because it's simple, easy to understand, and these characters are human. You can relate to them in ways that only someone that's lived through these kind of situations really can. When we talk about the characters, it starts with a redirect. In the case of Ichikawa, he is this guy that is basically going through that phase that a lot of people go through when they're growing up. In some of our cases, it was dressing in all black and brooding around while being completely stoic. In other ways, it's just trying to completely reinvent yourself in a way that you weren't before because you want to try something new. Ichikawa is the prime example of just being completely awkward and pulling it off in a very not good way. He is a character that goes through an immense transformation in this series. And at this point in the story, with 9 episodes through, we are clearly seeing this evolution start to take hold. I mean, in the beginning, he starts to talk about how he wants to be a killer, so it's kind of hard to root for him at this stage before we really learn about him. He as a character, again, is someone that I think everyone can relate to. I mean, I definitely can. Even though he is a completely creepy dude in the beginning of the series, you grow to understand and like him. He doesn't mean the things that he says. He is a confused, kind of weird kid that's just trying to navigate his own feelings. He doesn't understand them yet. And that's the beauty of this, because they're still growing up and trying to understand themselves first and foremost. And we see pretty early on that this despicable, wicked personality of his is just a facade. He wants to do this because he wants to keep himself in a headspace that is dark and brooding and doesn't want to let anyone in. You can make your inferences on the reason why just starting from here. And this growth wouldn't be initiated without Yamada. She's the catalyst for all of this. Someone that on paper would just end up as being the comedic relief. She is an airhead, and she's also going to be very popular. It's an unlikely duo, as we always see with this kind of anime and manga, but it works here. Her character is a bit more bold than what we expect with MCs in this genre. And as these two characters learn and interact with each other, they become more. One of my favorite things about this entire series is how it takes little events, little moments that shouldn't really be a big deal, and it makes them so cinematic. It makes them so large scale. That complete change in tone when it comes to these scenes really signifies the importance that it means to these characters. It's something that would be important to you if you were in this situation back in middle school. The tight framing and that shift in the music, which I absolutely adore. I didn't really know how they were gonna pull this off and transpose this into an anime, but they've done a spectacular job making these moments really stand out. Whether it be Kyo throwing his bike into the river or holding Yamada's hand, those moments are just spectacular. And goddammit, does it feel like I've been waiting forever to see them get animated. It really kind of sucks when you jump into a series when it's first being translated, because you know it's gonna take forever if the series is gonna turn into an anime or something like that down the line. But at the end, it's rewarding because it's such a heartwarming story. And I think this intensity in the scenes also leads me to a second point that I really love about the story aspect of the entire series. And that's that issues that would persist for several chapters in other series get really resolved in like maybe a few scenes. These characters have something called common sense. Have you heard of it? It's something that not a lot of anime characters really have. But if a predicament shows up, of course they're gonna overreact. But it doesn't stop there. They're the kind of people that will stop and look at the other person and are able to read what they're feeling in that current moment to actually judge what their actions should be. They have a level of self-awareness that's not really inherent to a lot of other anime protagonists. something that in this genre that's filled with so many dense MCs is refreshing to see. Because there's a clear difference between being completely dense and not knowing what's going on and actually knowing and noticing and then choosing not to act on that. There's a clear difference there. But our characters here, as well as being very well in tune with their surroundings, also recognize that they have their own insecurities that they always worry about, and they always act and base their feelings on what they are. These preconceptions aren't just things that are mentioned offhand and aren't brought up again. They're things that are constantly followed up on. Kyo is a paranoid loner, so of course he will trust to a certain degree, but then he's gonna fall back onto where he was, but then he can climb back out. He's got that level of being able to actually handle the situation himself. If anything, in some of his efforts to try and protect himself, he sometimes comes out to be a lot more charismatic than he intends to be, saying something that he meant to be interpreted into something completely different, but then it turns out that it was said in such a manner that it was seen as maybe like, hey, I like you, or interpreted in a way where it's kind of like a sort of mini confession. In terms of who's the most Chad-like as a romance protagonist, I think Ichikawa unintentionally is up on that list. With 3 episodes left in the season, I'm just glad that we've gotten this adaptation because I think it's been amazing. It's a tonally faithful adaptation of what the source material is, and it does it justice. So if you're a fan of the source material like me, then you've been having a goddamn field day every time a new episode comes out. Everything's just been as it should be. The vocal performances, the music, everything is spot on. I love it. What have you guys been thinking about this series? Have you been loving this adaptation, or for whatever reason have you actually been despising it? Please let me know down in the comments below. I recommend this series to pretty much anyone that remotely likes the romance genre. I absolutely adore it, and I think this is a fantastic entry point into it if you're unfamiliar, or maybe you're someone that likes it a lot and just want to get more of it. I think this is just an amazing addition to have there. But with this, I think that pretty much wraps up my thoughts. As always, I was Bayfond, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.